Hello, and welcome to MGO's second I-401K Today webinar. Thank you for doing something today to ensure that your retirement plans are in step with your retirement goals. Today's topic is your financial checkup. And what I wanted to do today is just remind you of a few things that you need to check on annually to ensure your financial wellness. So let's get started. I'm going to share my screen with you. And here we go. So my first question to you is, what is the most expensive thing you will ever buy? So go ahead and send me your responses in your chat. What is the most expensive thing you will ever buy? So your home, of course, your children's education, yes. That boat, okay. Couple of the answers I'm looking for, great. Glad to hear it. Okay. The ring, oh, wow, okay. All right. So we did get a couple of the answers that I was looking for. And that's your retirement. You're going to pay today for your retirement tomorrow. So it's like putting your retirement in layaway, and you pay on it until you can afford to pay it off and take it out. That's kind of how I look at retirement. You have such a long time. It takes us 30, 40 years to save up enough money to retire. And that's why I think it's the most expensive thing that you will ever purchase. One of the reasons it's so expensive is because we're living longer. We also have to bear more of the cost of retirement than we used to. So between those two things, retirement becomes a very expensive venture. Our average life expectancy, and we're going to use 2019 numbers because 2020, of course, was a little bit different and actually did take away about a year from the average life expectancy. But back in 2009, when a man turned age 65, he was probably going to live to be about age 84. And for a female, she was going to live to be about age 86 and a half, 87. So we have a very long time. When you think of most people retire, somewhere between 60 and 65, we're talking about, quite a few years of having to make sure that we have enough money to live on once we retire. So what I want you to do right now is just dream. I want you to think about what you actually want your retirement to look like. That's the first step we take in when we try to plan for retirement. What do we want it to look like? Are we going back to school with Rodney Dangerfield? Are we just going to stay home and garden? Do we want to join a country club and hang out with our friends? Do we want to move to a adult community? Do we just want to sit on the beach? Do we want to volunteer our time? Do we want to work full time? Or even part-time? Do we just want to be on the boat fishing? These are all some of the things that we think about when we retire. And don't forget about that renting a Winnebago and driving and parking in the daughter or the son's driveway so that you can be with the grandkids, or moving in with your children. So these are all things that your retirement could look like. So you have to decide what it is that you want to do in retirement. And then you need to prioritize your goals. What's the most important thing to you about retirement? And then what are you willing to do to make sure that it happens? So let's make a plan. You thought about it. You've prioritized what you want to do. Now what's the plan? And in the planning piece, you have to determine how many years before you retire. How much retirement do you actually want to buy? How expensive is it going to be for you? And based on that, how much do I need to save to reach my goals? How much do I need to save? Well, the rule of thumb, of course, I always say, is you're going to need somewhere between 80 and 85% of your current income in retirement. We try to think, generally speaking, taxes are going to be a little bit smaller because you don't have as much income. You think their working related costs disappear. maybe that going back and forth to work, that drive to work, the amount of gas that you have to purchase is going to go down, or the clothes that you have to wear, you won't have to uh, pay for those anymore. Your medical costs are probably going to increase. So all those things that go into retirement, you have to plan for it. You have to look at that. How much debt are you taking into retirement? All those things. And don't forget that interactive retirement planner, which was our first topic in our first webinar, um, that is a great tool to start thinking about and looking at what that amount you need to save based on where you are now comes into play. So don't forget to visit that tool there on your Nationwide app. So beyond your 401k, what other types of retirement income might you have? Of course, we're depending on Social Security, many of us. And just remember that Social Security is only going to cover about 40% of your needed retirement income. You have your qualified plans. So you might have IRAs beyond your 401k plans and other types of investments. Some people have pensions. You have other assets. Maybe you have rental properties that you're counting on to provide you with income. You have earnings for those of you who are going to continue to work part-time or full-time. And then you have other things. Maybe there's inheritances out there or something that you're counting on. So those are some of the other sources of retirement income that you need to think about as you do your retirement planning. Again, some other ones that might come to the mind are all those insurances that you have out there, your death benefits for many life insurance, your Social Security survivor benefits, maybe some of your healthcare coverage if you have some of that additional types of coverage that will pay you for some illnesses. And of course, all of the different types of insurance, including even long-term care that might come into play in your retirement. One of the other things that you need to think about, and one of the very important things you need to think about, is inflation and how that impacts your retirement income. The current inflation rate is 1.4%. And that was as of January 31st, 2021. So what that means is that it's going to reduce your purchasing power with your money as inflation impacts that. And so you really should expect to lose about anywhere between 1 and 3% of your purchasing power annually just due to inflation. I know these past years we've had almost zero inflation, but it is starting to come into play again as people retire. So you want to make sure that you plan on that impact to your retirement income. The other thing that you're going to have to take into account is how much money your money is earning for you, or your investment returns. The average S&P 500 return right now is 10%. But due to inflation, of course, we have to back away from that a little bit. So it's really, and when you talk about it being adjusted for inflation, it's only 7 to 8%. So make sure, again, that you take this into account as you're putting your retirement plan together. And of course, past performance is no indication of future results. And what do I mean? Maybe we don't get 10%. Maybe we only get 8% in a year. It's not going to always be 10%. We're talking about the average. So one of the things that I wanted you to do is take a look at the current chart that is in front of you. And I thought this would be a good idea to get a visual of where you are. A lot of people want to know, well, how am I doing based on how everybody else is doing? So here's a way for you to look at this. This is information that I gathered from Vanguard, one of our big mutual fund companies here. And these are some of the 401k balances by age group. So what I want you to do is take a look, kind of figure out where you are, and just put in answer this question. Are you below, above, or average based on your age group? Are you below the average 401k balance? Are you above the average 401k balance? Or are you right in step, or are you just basically average for the 401k balances you see here? And then you have an average balance. And in that third column, you have a median 401k balance. And the median means that 50% of people are above that particular balance, and 50% of the people are below that particular balance. But I just want to see where you are based on the average 401k balance. Great. We have a lot of people that are above. Great job. You got some belows. Okay. That's why you're here, because we're going to work on that. And we got a couple of people that are right there in the pack. Good. Okay. Okay. Well, great. Well, great. So about 30% of you are below. There's another about 40% of you that are right at average, and a few of you that are above. So great job. I'm glad to see that you are out there doing something, but the reasons we have these types of events is so that you can understand how to put yourself in the where we want you to be, above the norm. So let's keep going and talk about the things that you can do to make sure that you are able to start being above where everyone else is. So let's create a spending plan. I talk about budget, 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 and I truly believe that everything starts with the budget. You've got to know where your money is going. You've got to know what you can uh, cut back on, maybe which bills you have to pay and which bills you're opting to pay or deciding to pay, making a choice to pay. And maybe sometimes we have to change those choices in order to meet our goal for retirement. So a spending plan is always make sure you're spending less than you earn, if at all possible, of course. Include savings as an expense, meaning pay yourself first. Have a debt retirement plan. Remember, I talk about snowballing your and making sure you're getting your debt paid off as quickly as possible. And then, of course, if you find that your expenses are greater than your income, then you're either going to have to cut your expenses, you're going to have to increase your income, or you're going to have to do a little bit of both. And that's usually where people end up, is they do a little bit of both. And so what do we do? Kinds of things can we do to take action in that manner? So in cutting expenses, you got to track your expenses, understand where your money is going, doing that daily, accounting for every dime that you spend over a 30 or 60-day period. Once you do that, other things you can do: couponing, bargain hunting. I don't buy things unless it says sale. Comparison shopping, buying cars less often, and then staycations, of course, which everybody pretty much participated in 2020, was the staycation. So those are just a few ways that you could cut expenses. We, again, tracking your expenses, understanding where that money goes is the most important thing you can do towards planning and cutting expenses, because you tend to see where you might fall a little short in probably overspending in a particular area. Increasing your income. Improve your job skills. Learn a little something every day about your job that makes you a more valuable employee. Education, of course, is key. Turn a hobby into cash. I always say monetize where you're spending your time. And if that's a hobby, see if you can actually make some money doing that. One of the things that you could also do is increase your portfolio risk. Now, I would only recommend that for someone that's at least 5 to 10 or more years away from retirement. But that is one of the ways that you could possibly get a little bit more return on your money when you can't necessarily throw a lot more money at your contributions or something. But definitely, if you're talking about doing that, that is a reason to come and meet with MGO. This is why we're here. This is why we're doing this webinars, because we want you to understand the things that you need to be thinking about, that you can come ask us about. So please, by all means, reach out to us. We'd be more than happy to assist you. That's why we're here. Avoid bad debt. And what is bad debt? Bad debt is spending money that doesn't increase your net worth, doesn't increase the value of what you have. So avoiding bad debt is a good thing. Creating other sources of income. You got to figure out ways, if it's, that's why you have your Uber and your Lyft drivers. They're trying to figure out ways to increase income so they can have a more comfortable retirement. So once you put this plan together, you put this expense plan together, what is it going to be like to live in retirement? One of the other things you have to address is your withdrawal strategy, making that money last for you. You know, the questions, of course, is do I take all my money out and put it in an annuity, or do I just take open leave all my money in there and just take a little bit out of time, or is it a combination of both? And it depends. You know, those are my favorite two words when we deal in financial services, because it is a very individual proposition. So, uh, you know, how do you make your money last? You have to think about things, survivor benefits as a couple. Um, how much money do I need tax free versus how much money do I need in taxable assets? We always talk about that 4% withdrawal limit. That's kind of the rule of thumb about how much money you should withdraw from your retirement savings on an annual basis. It's about 4%. Does that really work for you? Will that last based on the money that you have saved up? The bucket strategy. You know, you have some money that you set aside, that is all that's what you're going to withdraw your income from. So that's probably in some less risky investments versus the money, another bucket that you just leave and it grows for you until you need access to that because you've used up maybe a lot of the money in your withdrawal bucket. So we call that bucket strategy, and that's one way to put your investments together for your retirement. Mandatory withdrawals start at 72. What do I do with them? Maybe I don't need them. How can I reinvest them and continue to earn money on them? Or maybe I have to make sure that I account for that in my withdrawal strategy once I hit 72. So all these things, again, things that you have to think about as you're putting that retirement plan together. And another reason for you to just reach out to us so we can help you with that. I also wanted to remind you of a lot of the different ages that come into play when we start approaching retirement. So that kind of retirement timeline. Age 50, you can start making your catch-up contributions, that extra $6,500 that you can put in on top of that $19,500 that you can put in on an annual basis. Age 59 and a half is when that 10% tax penalty disappears on any withdrawals. Age 62, the minimum age to start receiving Social Security. For some of you that are a bit older, there's a lot of Social Security strategies that are out there that where that age 62 might come into play. Age 65, you become eligible for Medicare. Age 66, you're eligible for full Social Security if you were born between the years of 43 and 54. And of course, that gradually rises to age 67 if you were born after 1960. And then again, age 72, having to take out those RMDs. So a lot of numbers that are going to trigger different actions that you may or may not be able to take based on your individual situation as you approach retirement. So what is it that I'm really calling you to do? I'm calling you to take action. I want you to dream about your retirement and what it looks like. I want you to do that reality check. And that interactive retirement planner is going to help you with that. Where you are, where you want to be, and what you want your retirement to look like. That's that reality check. You know, sometimes we can dream, but if we aren't doing the things that are going to help us reach the goals of that dream, then we have to do that. You know, okay, I may not be able to do this much of it, but maybe I can buy this much of that retirement dream, what you want that to look like. So assess your current situation, make a plan, you know, and then engage MGO. We're here to help. Maybe you don't see your way to the end, but maybe we can help you see your way there. That's what we do. So we ask you to really take retirement seriously. We're taking it seriously for you. We want to assist you in doing this. And the best thing you can do is just reach out and ask questions. So I hope you enjoyed this retirement readiness webinar, and I hope that you really will take action, that you will 401k today, that you will reach out, ask us any questions that you want to. There's all the ways that you can contact us. Of course, through our website, you have a question button if you want to just send us a quick email. Of course, you can always call us. Our number is there. And of course, that's the direct email if you want to ask us a question, set up some individual time to talk about your individual circumstances. Again, thank you for joining us today. We look forward to being of assistance to you in the future. And thank you for 401K today.